everybody, welcome back. These are some TikTok spies that need to join the CIA.
I first calculated the height of the turbine.
Someone was secretly living in the walls of my apartment.
Sir, you forgot you had a whole wife.
This is my cheating boyfriend Jay's phone. I hope she was worth it, Jay.
Jay, I found your phone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kobe, and I can find any location in the entire world. To find the exact location of Jay's phone, I slowed down your video to look for important clues. Right away, I noticed the Los Angeles skyline in the background. I also noticed this white and black building. And even closer to your location was this white house. Using Google Satellite, I started at downtown Los Angeles skyline. I then located the black and white building. I then located the White House, which means I was super close to your location. I then found this dirt that matched the one from your video. I then zoomed in closer and found the V tree formation, which means the phone was somewhere down there. I grabbed my laptop and drove 3 hours to that hiking trail called Runyon Canyon. Once I arrived, I started my 2.5-hour hike. I got lost, but I never give up. Finally, I made it to the top and headed straight into the mountain where you put the phone. I searched the entire location for 3 hours. Finally, I found the damaged phone. I picked it up to inspect it. Surprisingly, it was in good shape. I placed your phone in my briefcase and headed straight back to my house. After the 2.5-hour descent, I went home, plugged your phone in, and surprisingly, it still works. Jay, if you want your phone back, DM me at Kobe Person. For everyone else, remember, I can find you anywhere, any place, anytime, any day. Challenge me.
Okay, very impressive, but also why are we helping the cheater find his phone? That's what I want to know. Why are we helping this cheater?
Bros before hoes.
You don't even know this guy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I am impressed. Like,
low-key.
High-key impressed. This is honestly why I don't ever take photos of like the outside of my house, like ever. Like, we got some cute Halloween decorations and I ain't putting that on the internet anywhere. I don't want you to find me, you'll never find me. You will never find me! The internet is a very scary place. Find my father, please. Nice. Can you find my dad, though? He has been missing. He went to go get some milk 20 years ago, and he never came back. No, my dad is sitting at home in Calgary.
You're trifling, good for nothing type of brother.
Silly me, why haven't I found another? Great song. Oh, we got a camcorder.
All right, this case is hella spicy, and it's actually a 2-day case. So I had a wife hire me to follow her husband. They've been married for 3 years, but he's been acting a little different lately, turning his phone around, keeping it on silent. So she's going on a conference for a couple of days, and she's a little worried, and she wants me to follow him. This man didn't end up taking off till like 6:37 p.m., so I already know it was going to be a late night. So he ended up going down a street, and then he just stopped. And at this point, I was like, I'm just gonna have to stop behind him and hopefully he doesn't see anything. So I put my visors up and then he runs out. And I'm like, all right, maybe he's picking up something from the apartment. And then all of a sudden this girl comes out and they start kissing. Nah, I mean, I was shook. Look, the way she climbed up on him and dangled. I'm like, girl, do you know you're the side piece? But anyway, so he ended up walking her to the car. Such a gentleman, opened the car door and got in the car and they ended up departing the area. In my head, I'm like, look, it's late. I know I'm going to be on this case for a long time. I hope y'all are going to dinner or doing something like that. They ended up going to a little taco spot, so I got to get something. After ordering in my Espanol, I got 2 tacos. They were cool, like a 7.5. But you know what? I deserve this. It's my first meal of the day, and I did like 9 sit-ups in the car. Anyways, they were kissing and feeding each other and doing their thing. Yo, they didn't even look at me once. It was so crazy. They were so involved with each other. I updated the client. I was like, I'm so sorry about this. And she's like, I don't care what you have to do, but if he goes back to her apartment, I want you to stay there all night. And if he doesn't leave, I want you to continue surveillance the next morning. This man went back to her apartment. They had a slumber party because I was there till midnight and then never came back out.
It's the dangling for me. Nobody dangles for no other reason other than the cheating. Why you be dangling like that? No dangling allowed. The dangling told me everything I needed to know. The hugging and kissing would be enough for me. Case closed. I mean, hugging and kissing is one thing. Spending the night is another. Like, yes, it is still cheating, but it's even worse. Like, I want to know just how bad the situation is. I want to know all the details. Cause then, you know, if he tries to be like,
no, it was just hugging and kissing. She's just my friend. We're really touchy like that.
And there's no evidence of like the giggity goo, the giggity goo goo goo. it's not as bad. It's in some people's eyes forgivable. Some people would also forgive after the giggity goo. First comment is, girl, do you know you're a side piece? How are you not embarrassed? She might not know. Honestly, some people do know and they're okay with that, which is embarrassing. You're embarrassing, yes. Some people don't know. Some of these trifling cheaters, they really be out here living double lives. What's the wife doing that made him do that? Or what isn't she doing? Excusez-moi. Excusez-moi. I think we found a cheater in our midst.
It's her fault. She didn't love me enough. She didn't give me enough attention.
Then break up first. Break up first. Communicate. And then break up. Don't cheat. But we got a part two. We got a part two.
All right, top of the morning.
I love how we're still doing our
skincare.
skincare.
Still here, parked at her apartment complex. So we're gonna see what we're about to get into right now.
Okay.
I don't like working on my day off.
All right, here we go. After his little sleepover, he ended up departing the residence with her and some cute little dog. But you know what's not cute is, sir, you forgot you had a whole wife. You're hand in hand walking across the street. So I thought they were gonna go on a walk. So I ended up following them in my car. They turned the corner and they continued to walk, and then they ended up going to a farmer's market. Look, I know there's gonna be a lot of snacks here. Anyway, so I started following them, and usually when it's super crowded like this, and since I followed them yesterday, I want to stay a little bit back here. So they were just hand in hand talking, looking around, and then I came across these beautiful peaches, and of course I have to get one, just a little snack to start off the day. And then I'm not sure what happened here, but I must have blacked out because then I bought some spicy mustard and got another sample. Look, as a private investigator doing this for 11 years, you want to blend in. So they never saw me. I stayed behind them the whole time. They ended up going to like a little flower area, and he got her flowers. I updated the client, and she wanted me to discontinue surveillance the moment they left. Because she texted this man, he said that he was on a hike and he couldn't answer his phone. They ended up walking around a little bit more. They were all over each other, and then they started headed towards the exit. And this is where I blacked out again because not me buying some eucalyptus. Surveillance was discontinued the moment they took off, but I stayed a little bit and I enjoyed my time at the farmer's market.
You know what is honestly the kicker for me? It's the flowers. Not only the dangling, but the flowers. Because I bet you anything this man is not getting flowers for his wife and he's getting it for his side piece. She had to get some eucalyptus just to get rid of the stench of that stinky man. Yeah, and the farmer's market too. Like that just cuts me deep. That's like worse than giggity. Worse than giggity goo. You're going to the farmer's market with this girl. You're buying her some flowers picked by some farmers.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
How dare you? How dare you? Because then it's not just giggity goo. Then it's like something serious, right? Ain't nobody be going to a farmer's market unless they're serious about somebody. That's a nice afternoon, okay? That is a nice date, nice afternoon at the farmer's market. It is not just the giggity goo. It is the coffee and the date after the giggity goo. It is inconceivable. I don't know if the CIA has her on their payroll, but they should.
Oh boy. I got a call from a husband who wanted me to do surveillance on his wife because he already caught her cheating. He just wants to know the identity of the guy. Like, this is bad news bears already. Because, like, why do you want the guy's name? What are you gonna do with it? You gonna meet him out at the flagpole and beat him up? Well, anyways, the wife doesn't know she's been caught yet. Like, she doesn't know that he knows. And I think he started to kind of figure out, like, when they'd be together. So anyways, I go to her workplace at lunchtime. Sure enough, the guy arrives. But the car he arrives in, like a courtesy vehicle, like the ones they give you when you go to get your car serviced or whatever. So I couldn't even run a tag. So I was like, we gotta do this the old gumshoe old-fashioned way. Well, anyway, so he picks her up and takes her to lunch. And I'm waiting for my window of opportunity. Well, the dude, like the gentleman he is, drops homegirl off at the front door of the restaurant. And he goes and parks the car. So I hide and wait. And as he's walking inside, I pop in front of him and kind of stop him with like a gentle touch on the shoulder. And I'm like, Steve? And he's like, no. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You have a total doppelganger. And not Steve was like, yeah, I get that all the time. And so I'm like, I'm Katie Jones, by the way. What's your name? Not Steve. And he's like, it's Bill. Bill Smith. And like Bill he said Smith. It like it was such a big deal. Like he was waiting for me to react like, oh, Bill Smith? Like I don't know who you are. But anyway,
the Bill Smith.
Sometimes flattery goes a long way. and I still needed more information, which at this point I'm pushing a couple boundaries. Go big or go home. And this is my favorite part of this job. Also, now I want to know if he himself is married because I didn't see a ring, but also his hand was in his pocket. Well, Bill, it looks like your wife is a very lucky lady. And this fella says, well, I like to think so. So I'm like, dang, he's married too. Here we go again, just like that. These people out here all willy-nilly just having affairs out in public? Then he says, matter of fact, my wife's right inside. We're gonna go have lunch. It was nice to meet you. What? So I'm like, okay, bye. Well, I get back to the car and my client has called me 4711 times and he has left me a text message that says, couldn't get a hold of you, so I called the office. They told me where she's at, so I'll meet you there.
Okay, we're definitely gonna watch the part 2. But like, what the actual... He not only has a wife, but he was all willy-nilly talking to you a little bit. His willy was getting nilly. Sorry. The nilliest willy. So not only was he cheating, but he also had a whole extra wife. Because like dudes that are cheating, they don't be wearing those wedding rings while they cheat. They take them off. I think they'd be smart too, anyway. Not like that stops some people, but I'm so ready for part 2. Let's do it.
So I'm panicking because I don't need my client coming up here all willy-nilly ruining my investigation. Well, so I'm calling and texting my client, trying to get a hold of him, like trying to tell him, no, don't come up here. Let me figure out what's going on, right? So I keep calling my client, trying to get a hold of him, tell him like, I'm looking the guy up. Let me get some information. That way you have all the facts and you can talk to your wife about it later. My client will not answer the phone. Like, I imagine this guy rage driving to get to this stupid restaurant. So I do a little research and I look up this guy and I find that he works at the same company as the wife. So she's banging the coworker, right? So cliche. I don't know if I'd be playing house and calling her wife, but I mean, whatever, it's not my affair. Well, so anyways, I continue on the Google machine and I find this fella's wife, like his real wife, and she works for this company too. What in the name of Wisteria Lane is happening? Well, I'm still trying to get a hold of my client. And in the parking lot of this restaurant is a company vehicle for the company that they all work at. And so listen, I don't math, but if you've got my subject getting out of Loverboy's car and Loverboy is driving that car, then who's driving the company vehicle? So immediately I put 2 and 2 together because I can math like a little bit. And so now I'm rushing like desperate to get my client on the horn. Y'all, I did not get to that fella in time. He whipped into that parking lot so fast, like Lightning McQueen. So I tried to catch him at the door of the restaurant. But y'all, he was on a mission. And as clean as his record was, he was about to soil it. Y'all, I tried to tell him don't go in there. But this fella was hard-headed as a mule. My client ran up in there all willy-nilly like a wild banshee. He starts fussing up a storm, calling her all these names. Then he saw Bill's wife sitting right there. And his face goes... So I'm over standing by the door and he looks at me. I'm like, don't look at me. I tried to tell you. You out here looking like a fool in front of God and everybody. I don't know what to tell you. You got ejected like a jet plane pilot. And that right there is why I'm licensed and you're not. Let me tell you what I found out after my surveillance. My client never actually caught his wife cheating. He just thought she was because she got a new cell phone that he thought was like a secret squirrel phone. Really was a company phone, which to me is like a clue that you're probably being dishonest yourself. But nobody was paying me to investigate him. Not my circus, not my monkeys. He's the one who told me that I would most likely see them sneaking off to lunch together. So after I got his name, which was not Bill Smith, by the way, I was able to look him up. Not only does he work for the company, he just transferred here from another state. He's like super high up in the company. He had been traveling back and forth because he was waiting for his wife to get transferred too. And the wife of my client was taking on a new role of Not Steve's new assistant. So like Not Steve is literally her boss. Not Steve's wife would always join them for lunch. But she worked in one of the other local offices and just used the company card to get to the restaurant. Well, so my client told me that every time his wife would talk about her job, he thought she was using it as like some kind of ploy to like hide this illicit affair. So what really happened the day at the restaurant was Not Steve and his wife were taking my client's wife to lunch. Like a business lunch. Like when I chased my client inside, you could clearly see on the table there's like laptops open, documents out. But here's the kicker. When my client called his wife's workplace, to find out where she was. The receptionist who gave him the information was a woman he had had an affair with the year before. And he only told me this, but I billed him extra for breaking the part of my contract that says don't interfere with my investigation. So my client's wife was never cheating, but he had. So basically all my surveillance did was reveal my client's own secrets.
Oh, you reap what you sow, bestie. Okay, so this is why we move in the shadows, friends. We move in the shadows because we don't know what's really going on. We do not react. We gather all the necessary information. You just paid this woman like a lot of money to be your PI to find out what was going on. A lunch does not mean cheating. It doesn't. It might be a little sus in some ways. I would say dinner is more sus than a lunch. Farmer's market is more sus than a lunch. But like bosses take out their employees for lunches like all the time. People take out clients for lunches all the time. This is literally why people have expense accounts so that they can take people related to their business out to lunch.
Okay.
And you discuss the business and you expense 50%. Their lunch, not yours. Honestly, wow. The fact that he was this mad and he just assumed it. Like the fact that he just like assumed because that's totally something that he would do and did actually do. You telling on yourself, boy. That backfired for real. So what did we learn? We move in the shadows until we have all the info. Or you get someone to move in the shadows for you and get the info.
Bet you thought this was gonna hit me, didn't you?
No, I didn't. Using the diameter of a standard ball, I first calculated the height of the turbine. This piece was 2 meters and the whole tower was 15 of these pieces, which means it's 30 meters tall. The blade was roughly 45% of the height of the tower, which means the rotor diameter of the turbine is 27 meters. I then looked up a database of wind turbines using these sizes and found out the model of this tower is the Vestas V27. Then I reviewed the spec sheet and saw the blade spin at 43 RPM. So the angular velocity of the blade would be 43 times 2 times pi divided by 60, which is 4.5 radians per second. Since the ball hit the middle of the blade, that means the blade velocity at the point of collision is half the blade's length times the angular velocity, which is 30.4. Now let's look at the initial velocity of the ball. After the kick, it took the ball 0.74 seconds to make contact with the midpoint of the blade, which is at a height of 24.75 meters. Doing some simple math, we can calculate the initial velocity of the ball to be 37.
This just
Without the
goes
speed
way
drop
over
because of
my
gravity,
head.
we get 29.8. This would also be the ball speed on the y-axis after it gets hit. Then divide this by gravity and you would get the time it takes for the ball to reach its max height after the impact, which is 3 seconds at a total height of 70 meters above the ground. The time it takes for the ball to fall down is 3.8 seconds, which means the total time the ball is in the air is 6.8 seconds. Now on the x-axis, the speed of the ball would be the speed of the blade, which we calculated times 1.6 because of the bounciness of the ball, or 48.6 meters per second. And then we simply just multiplied the time and speed to find out the ball fell down 331 meters from the wind turbine. I know you recorded your video and you're home in Malibu, but the problem is the nearest wind turbine to you is over 100 kilometers away. Senna, I never thought the ball was gonna hit you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Your talents are being wasted on this TikTok. Can you just like get us to Mars already? Can you just be on the team to get us to Mars? Honestly, a good 90% of that video went straight over my head. You really showed Courtney Cox. She was just trying to make a silly TikTok video, a nice little stitch, and you just ruined it for her, didn't you? Taking life a little too seriously. My calculations were similar. Yes, indubitably, yes. I came to the same conclusion with the math that I did in my head. I did it all in my head, so suck on that. As a mathematist, your calculations were wrong. You didn't check the weather to calculate the effect of wind. Good point, good point. Wow, people are all doing, doing math in the comments. This is not a conversation I can be a part of. I'm sorry. I'll just sit here and look cute. He seems so convincing that I would honestly believe him.
Someone was secretly living in the walls of my apartment, and you're gonna get ready with me while I relive that trauma. I don't even know why I'm doing this right now. A few years ago, me and 3 other friends decided to move into an apartment together. And we were so excited and young and carefree, and we thought that this was gonna be like the time of our lives. At first, everything was completely fine. Getting along, we're going out, we're doing all the girly things, but just you wait. About a week and a half in, we all start individually noticing some of our things going missing. Small stuff though, that you wouldn't like outright notice. On top of that, I kid you not, we started hearing like scratching in our vents and knocks on the walls and random banging happening through the middle of the night. And we are petrified. So we started doing some research on the internet to see if anyone else in the world had experienced something similar to what we were going through at our own place. And lo and behold, one of the first things that we came across was somebody experiencing the exact same thing, and you guessed it, someone was living in their walls. Yep, you heard that right. Living in their wall.
5'8" little mousy boys that live in the wall and crawl around for cheese.
Cosplaying as a
Sneaking
rat
out in the middle of the night while they were sleeping, taking all their stuff, and going back into the wall before they woke up. All four of us were sitting in the living room when we found that article and simultaneously turned to look at each other and then proceed to look at the 2 locked doors in our place that we hadn't been able to open since we arrived.
Okay, yeah, no, I have a lot of questions. Like, how is there enough space for someone to be getting around in between the wall and like the foundation? I don't understand.
Saying that we're freaked out by this point is such an understatement, but we end up calling maintenance to come unlock the doors and tell them what's been going on at our place. Maintenance comes like rushing up. Within 3 minutes, they're knocking at our door. He comes in and unlocks both the doors. Honestly, to our surprise at this point, there's nothing there. So the maintenance guys turned around and looked at us like we were insane and proceeded to basically gaslight us into thinking we were just a bunch of paranoid young girls. And you know what? His gaslighting worked, because after that day, we dropped it until something happened a week later that we literally just couldn't ignore. So one night it was really late and all 4 of us were home and decided to order pizza for a little late night snacky. The pizza delivery guy was taking a hot second. We actually all ended up falling asleep before he got there. So we all wake up and see that the pizza box that we ordered is sitting on our counter. And it's kind of like half open and there's some sauce and like pizza remnants. So we start laughing and we're like, oh my God, who woke up and got the pizza? Like, thank you so much. And we go around the room and everyone's like, oh, I wasn't awake. Well, I wasn't awake either. And they both weren't awake. No one was awake. And because we all went to sleep with one another, we each had an alibi of, hey, they were sleeping next to me. But it didn't matter, because after that night, we all started to turn on each other. We bought a camera for the apartment. We started going through each other's things. But a few weeks in, we'd honestly had enough of this. And we were like, we're gonna figure this out tonight. We all decided to leave the apartment at the same time, go to the grocery store. And we took note of everything that was in our fridge and our pantry so we could see if anything was moved or taken when we got back. We get back from the store and things are missing. We covered all our bases. We asked to see the security footage. We asked about our neighbors, but in the end, we came up with nothing.
Okay, no, I thought you said you got a camera. I thought you said, why has it gotten to this point that you need to get a camera for the inside of your house? What? Be freaking for real right now. Oh my God. And Buddy's getting a little sloppy too. I'm assuming that it's a dude. It might be a woman. I don't know. He goes and he gets the pizza for you guys, eats some of it, and then puts it inside your house? What the f? Come on now. If I were living in the walls, I wouldn't be that sloppy.
Don't kill me, but I made a mistake in the last video and kind of got the sequence of events a little mixed up. So you guys kept asking if the camera captured anything, but those were actually installed after both of those incidents happened. Doing that was kind of our final straw, last ditch effort. We only put up one camera that all of the roommates knew about, and it was facing our living room and kitchen space. Once it was up, we checked that thing religiously. Conveniently, of course, right after we did that, things stopped going missing. We were already like a month or 2 into the school year,
then he
so
saw the
classes were
camera
in full swing. Well, honestly, none of us really had the energy to talk about what had happened. So what did we do? We hunkered down for the rest of the year. Occasionally throughout the rest of the year, we would still hear those scratches and the random banging, but we kind of just let it go. Call us dumb, but we figured that if something or someone was planning on hurting us, they would have done it already. We did, however, give it some funny names like the Munchkin Man and the Ghost of Jose. At the end of our lease, we moved out, so no, I don't live there anymore, but me and all of my roommates are still friends to this day.
Okay, I'm sorry. I still have questions. How, you never actually caught him? You never caught this dude living in your walls? Wait, no, how did you go on living without knowing? I don't get it. I wouldn't know. There's no way. I could not. Was anybody like hiding their boyfriend or something? I don't get it. So what I'm hearing is you don't know if someone lived in your wall. Precisely, till this day we have no explanation. Give me the address, I'll find out. I'm on leave from the CIA, so... Oh, I'm not supposed to tell you that. I'm gonna have to kill you now. Subscribe!